I was violated in June by a police officer. He stopped me on 50th and Lincoln for no reason whatsoever, pulled me over, and fondled me and did certain things to me. I was out there alone and helpless, didn't know what to do. And in my mind, all I could think that he was going to shoot me. He was going to kill me. He did things to me that I didn't think a police officer would do. He made me perform all of sodomy sex on him. I didn't know what to do. I was so afraid. I was afraid for my life. I kept begging him, "Sir, please don't make me do this. Don't make me do this, sir. Please, you're going to shoot me." He said, "I'm not going to shoot you." I said, "Yeah, you're going to shoot me." The only thing I could see was my life flash before my eyes and the gun in his holster on his right side. And as I tried to look up at his name, I was afraid to, because I said, if I know his name, I know he's going to kill me. So that I didn't do.
A former Oklahoma City police officer accused of raping or sexually assaulting 13 black women was found guilty on 18 of the 36 counts against him, including first-degree rape, sexual battery, and forcible oral sodomy. Daniel Holtzclaw sobbed as the judge read the verdicts.
Verdict, count 1, sexual battery. We, the jury impaneled and sworn in the above entitled cause, do upon our oaths find as follows. Defendant is guilty of the crime of sexual battery and set punishment at 8 years. Count 2, procuring lewd exhibition. Not guilty of the crime of procuring lewd exhibition. Count 3, burglary in the first degree. Defendant is not guilty of the crime of burglary in the first degree, nor lesser included. Count 4, procuring lewd exhibition. Defendant is guilty of the crime of procuring lewd exhibition, and punishment is set at 5 years. Count 5.
Holtzclaw faces a possible sentence of life in prison because of the conviction. Prosecutors argued Holtzclaw targeted women in the low-income neighborhood he patrolled, saying he stopped women on the pretense of checking them for outstanding warrants or drug-related items, then forced them to perform sexual acts. The youngest accuser was just 17. Holtzclaw's lawyer portrayed him as a model officer and questioned the credibility of the women who testified against him.
A kindergarten teacher was stabbed in the throat by a man claiming support for ISIS. Now, the French newspaper Le Parisien reports that the teacher was in class near the Paris suburb of Saint-Denis, but no students were there. The victim was rushed to the hospital with wounds that are not considered life-threatening. And the attacker, described as a masked man, fled the scene. Now, this case is being investigated by anti-terrorism authorities.
Sergeant Bo Bergdahl will face court-martial on charges of deserting his unit while in Afghanistan in 2009. If found guilty, the 29-year-old could spend the rest of his life behind bars. Shortly after leaving his post, Bergdahl was captured by the Taliban before being released in 2014 to the U.S. in exchange for several top Taliban leaders. 6 U.S. troops lost their lives trying to find and rescue Bergdahl.
A Maryland man who received nearly $9,000 in multiple payments via simple services like PayPal from people believed to belong to ISIS overseas, with instructions to then use that money to carry out a terror attack on U.S. soil. And also, to compound that, he tried to cover his tracks as well, claimed that the money was for other things, but the FBI found very detailed records there. Now, since January of this year, more than 50 Americans have been charged with terror offenses for alleged support to ISIS. This comes as the president met with his entire national security team today to discuss his ISIS strategy. He did try to change his tone, using stronger language than we've heard from him, but he left the substance of his anti-ISIS strategy largely the same. In fact, he defended it, citing progress, though admitting that it should come faster.
The hacking group Anonymous is threatening Donald Trump over his proposal to ban Muslims from coming into the U.S. The warning came in a video the group posted online.
Donald Trump, it has come to our attention that you want to ban all Muslims to enter the United States. This policy is going to have a huge impact. This is what ISIS wants. The more Muslims feel sad, the more ISIS feel that they can recruit them. The more United States appears to be targeting Muslims, not just radical Muslims. You can be sure that ISIS would put that up on their social media campaign. Donald Trump, think twice before you speak anything. You have been warned, Mr. Donald Trump. We are anonymous. We are legion. We do not forgive. Expect us.
Well, it seems Anonymous made good on its threat. The website for Trump Towers, TrumpTowerNewYork.com, was experiencing an outage today. An anonymous affiliated Twitter handle claimed responsibility for disrupting the site.
Today's college students want professors and administrators to make them feel safe and protest if they don't. This phone video shows a Yale student publicly cussing and denouncing her dormitory director. His crime, encouraging students to make their own decisions about what Halloween outfits to wear. The student wanted the university to make the rules about offensive costumes.
You should step down! It is not about creating an intellectual space! It is not! Do you understand that? It's about creating a home here!
At Yale, the University of Missouri, and elsewhere, students are increasingly concerned about what they consider to be offensive speech. They're calling for more rules to limit what students can say.
There are certain things that are right and wrong, certain things that shouldn't be said about other people depending on what their, minority, racial background, income status is.
In the last 20 years, such sentiment has led more than 400 universities to adopt speech codes. The problem, they consistently violate the First Amendment, shutting down so-called offensive speech or writing in the name of respect. Other rules create free speech zones and what are called safe spaces.
Of course, we want to protect somebody from being actually harassed or intimidated, but merely expressing a view that makes other people uncomfortable is what a university is for.
Censorship is like a cancer that eventually spreads out of control, and eventually everyone has something to worry about.
Here at the University of North Carolina, Wilmington, what is called the Respect Compact actually restricts student speech.
This speech code, like many others, calls for a free exchange of thoughts and opinions within a climate of civility and respect. But Professor Mike Adams notes that it gives the university incredible power and the ability to punish anyone it considers disrespectful.
Offensive, disrespectful speech is the only thing that's ever really been protected by the First Amendment, because that's the kind of thing that people might want to go after.
I definitely think it makes students hesitate, and I sometimes hesitate to kind of voice my opposing opinion because I don't want to really upset the rest of the class or even the professor.
It become ingrained in the culture, and then students, sort of wake up one day and say, well, you know what, I do have a right to be safe. I do have a right to be free from speech that might make me feel uncomfortable or disrespected. And then boom, at that point, what do you have? You've got Yale and you've got Mizzou.
FIRE is an organization that tracks speech on campus. Right now, it's following more than 200 universities that have substantially restrictive policies. The typical approach, codes that define harassment broadly, despite a narrow definition from the Supreme Court.
Harassment is severe, pervasive, and so objectively offensive that it effectively denies a student the right to an education. But you see universities adopting harassment codes that merely say that something is harassment if it offends someone. At Drexel University, they had a speech code that said that it is a violation of campus policy to have inappropriately directed laughter.
What's known as the Chicago Statement is beginning to change the trend. It was created here at the University of Chicago, and it holds a high view of the freedom of speech, saying that civility and respect should not curtail the open discussion of ideas.
American Muslims are becoming increasingly concerned about being targeted because of their faith. In the past few days, 3 mosques vandalized in California. One set on fire, a 23-year-old under arrest. In Philadelphia, a severed pig's head thrown at a mosque. And then there was this attack on Soccer Hawk.
I'm standing and he just like a minute or less, then he turning and he punched me in the ear.
Hawk owns a convenience store in Queens, New York. He says last Saturday, a man attacked him because he is Muslim.
He said, I kill Muslim. And then...
Wait, I'm sorry, he said, I kill Muslim.
Muslim.
Is that how you got the black eye?
This is he punching.
Oh, so he punched you?
Then he punched me, I don't know how many times. I said, help, 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 you know.
This man, who did not want to be identified for his safety, heard those cries for help.
But the guy was just angry. He just wanted to keep hitting them and keep hitting them until the cops came.
Hawk believes Donald Trump, who is from Queens, is partly responsible. Muslim leaders say Trump's recent plan to temporarily ban Muslims from the United States is part of a continued effort to demonize their faith.
This rhetoric echoes the policies enacted by Nazi Germany against the Jews. Trump's and Carson's mainstreaming of Islamophobia in the election is inciting real discrimination, real hate crimes.
Nihad Awad called out not only Trump and GOP candidate Ben Carson for his claim a Muslim should not be president, but also New Jersey governor and GOP candidate Chris Christie.
I think many Muslims in New Jersey feel a sense of betrayal for what Governor Christie has done.
Why betrayal? Many New Jersey Muslims thought Christie was an ally, but now disappointment over this comment from Christie about Syrian refugees.
I don't think orphans under 5 are being, should be admitted into the United States.
In the Republican primary campaign, Muslim bashing seems to be the red meat that the candidates are throwing to some of their supporters.
As for Trump, a new ABC Washington Post poll finds nearly 60% of Republicans support his plan. The frontrunner himself says he has support among the Muslim community.
I have many friends that are Muslims, and I will tell you, they are so happy that I did this because they know they have a problem.
But for Soccer Hawk, his problems are just beginning. He's on his way to speak to the district attorney, hoping his attacker gets the punishment he deserves.
Bill Cosby is taking his accusers to court. That's right. He has filed a defamation lawsuit against 7 women who have accused him of sexual assault. In the suit, Cosby claims the women lied in their accusations. His attorney released a statement saying Mr. Cosby states plainly that he neither drugged nor sexually assaulted the defendants, and that each defendant has maliciously and knowingly published multiple false statements and accusations. No criminal charges have been filed against Mr. Cosby, but he is facing several defamation suits from his accusers. The scandal has cost the 78-year-old several awards. Just today, Boston University decided to revoke an honorary degree it awarded Mr. Cosby back in 2014.
Soup, X-rays, Barbie dolls, and holiday shopping. Not usually controversial topics. That is until now, thanks to new TV ads. In this week's In Case You Missed It, I'll show you new commercials that are raising eyebrows. This Mattel ad shows a little boy playing with a Barbie that he apparently thinks is so fierce.
So fierce.
And this ad council commercial shows a family behind a screen. But once they step out, you see 2 dads and a little boy. This Campbell's ad is also stirring the pot. Pardon the pun. It shows a same-sex couple eating soup with their son.
No, no, no. I am your father.
And this Kohl's holiday shopping ad encourages us to celebrate togetherness by entertaining for everyone. Well, I've got some questions for you. Is this the new normal? Should Christian parents be concerned?